Joining me now from Washington, D.C., Trump 2020 Principal Deputy Communications Director Erin Perrine. You see this type of insurrection, anarchism taking place in Seattle, Erin. This is a brand new group. I mean, to me, they sound like a elementary version of Antifa. Does this group of people hold a real threat? Should the people be worrying in Seattle right now?
The people of Seattle should want law and order. They should want civility, and they should want to be able to freely move through any street in Seattle without the worry that this Chaz group will stop their entry or exit at any point. This is America. It is not Chaz and America. This is Seattle, which is part of the United States. The mayor and the governor need to step up and restore law and order to Seattle and to the state of Washington. They are intimidating people. They are not allowing people to move freely in those streets. They are trying to extort businesses from reports. And we are hearing that people who actually live there, who already live in this community, don't feel safe. I saw a video myself of someone who was in the streets saying, this is not a peaceful protest. These are not peaceful individuals. And I feel unsafe. And I live next to a police station which had to be abandoned because of this. Law and order is law and order. It means to be able to protect the community. What they are doing in Seattle needs to end, and the state and the locality need to step up and allow people to safely move through the community. They're failing in leadership in Seattle right now.
Absolutely. And the mayor has voiced that this, again, to her is a protest. She doesn't have any qualms about the situation at hand. Ted Cruz said the situation is endangering people's lives. So President Trump has called for the governor of Washington and the mayor of Seattle to take back the zone. Erin, what does President Trump mean by this? He calls himself the law and order president. Does that mean we're going to see calls for the National Guard to come in, or are we going to ramp up the police force?
President Trump is the president of law and order. He has stepped up time and again in the face of aggressive protests in this country. He surged the National Guard in D.C. and restored order to the streets here in D.C. as churches were being burned. He surged the National Guard in Minneapolis to restore order. He has the federal assets and tools at hand should there be a complete failure of the locality to be able to restore law and order. The president cares about a safe and prosperous America. That means on every street in this country, and that means in Seattle. He has directed them to step up and peaceably return the community to the way it was, to the way it should be, which means freedom of movement, which means businesses can work, which means these quote-unquote protesters, although they have actively overtaken a neighborhood and refused to allow it to operate, they won't. I mean, yesterday they had to allow a fire truck in when they normally wouldn't because there was an actual dumpster fire in this neighborhood in Seattle. When they say that they don't want anybody from the outside in, President Trump will make sure that America is safe, that Americans are safe, and that means that Seattle needs to get it together and allow that to happen in this neighborhood.
Completely agree with you. I do want to switch gears here. Now, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany's press briefing yesterday, she began by saying, quote, "The transition to greatness has already begun." Going on to say, our economy is getting better with 2.5 million jobs added in the month of May, all within the age of COVID-19. Erin, how will the Trump administration continue to strengthen our economy in the light of all these recent events that has happened?
You saw those 2.5 million jobs come back in the month of May, and that is because of the economic foundation that President Trump built in the first 3.5 years. It's because of the deregulation of the federal government to allow business to grow. It is because of the Trump tax cuts, because of opportunity zones. It's because this president has put Americans and American business first. You saw the Paycheck Protection Program, which Democrats refused to allow the secondary level of funding for until they had their demands met. President Trump has always been able to provide to make sure that this country is staying whole. And what you will see is the transition to greatness, as President Trump calls it. When we get to that point, when we are beginning to reopen as this country, it will be a full conversation with the federal, state governments and localities about what is needed to get America not only to back where it was with record low unemployment and massive opportunity, but even better than that. President Trump spent his career signing the front of paychecks before he became president of the United States. There is no one better who knows how to grow business, to grow jobs, to allow for opportunity than President Trump. As we begin to reopen as a nation, Americans should feel very strongly that they know President Trump is the only person to return us to the booming Trump economy.
Yeah, Ben, we sure hope those conversations take place rather quickly. Erin, we're all out of time. Thank you so much.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.